Hi everyone, welcome back to Soulmate Adventures. Today I'm going to be sharing about a super special flight we recently took, and that's none other than the one-of-a-kind Singapore Airlines first class suites. If you're new here, my name is Louise and I am one half of Soulmate Adventures. My other half is Ryan, but unfortunately he's at the airport right now, so he can't join me in this video. You may already recognize my voice from our other videos, as I'm typically the one who narrates them all, since I don't love speaking in front of the camera, but today we're doing things a bit differently because I sadly lost most of our footage from our trip. Yes, that's right. I spent so much time filming the whole experience on our DJI Pocket, but sadly, on our final flight home, I forgot it on the plane. I immediately contacted Air Canada about it, but no one ever turned it in. I'm super heartbroken about it since it was such a bucket list flight and I had so much good footage, but I'm still going to try my best to share all about it using the footage I still have from my cell phone. So let's get started. Singapore Airlines only offers suites class on its A380s, which fly on a handful of select routes. We ended up finding 2 Saver Award seats from Singapore to Hong Kong, so we immediately snagged them up. Even though this is the shortest route on the A380 at roughly 4 hours long, we just couldn't pass it up. And as I mentioned in the video title, it was just our luck that we actually ended up getting to fly it twice in one day, which I'll explain more later in the video. Our flight was departing Singapore Changi Airport at 9:40 in the morning, so we decided to spend the night in the airport hotel to be sure we had enough time to enjoy the exclusive private room lounge. At 6:30 a.m., we made our way through Terminal 3 in search of the first class check-in. For some reason, we had such a hard time finding it, but perhaps we were just too excited to think properly. We ended up heading outside, and then I remembered from other YouTube videos that we needed to go around the corner. Finally, we saw the private driveway and the red carpet leading to the first class reception. The doorman swiftly took our bags and led us to sit down at a check-in desk. You guys, this check-in area was absolutely beautiful and was more like a hotel lobby than an airport. We were given our golden, literally, boarding passes and our exclusive invitation to the private room. The whole process was super quick and we were out of there in just a few minutes and got to depart through a separate departure gate reserved just for first class passengers. Once on the other side, we were already airside and found ourselves at the base of the escalators to the Singapore Airlines lounges. We headed up to the private room, which is Singapore Airlines first class lounge, reserved strictly for passengers flying in first or suites class only, and no guests are allowed. Let me tell you, this lounge is the best lounge we've ever been to and feels super fancy. We were seated in the dining room for breakfast and had the most incredible server named Ryan. After looking through the menu, I decided to order the roti prata and Ryan went with the lobster laksa. The roti prata was the best I've ever had and Ryan absolutely loved his laksa. We were not expecting the food to be this good. So it was a great start to the morning already. After breakfast, we moved over to the lounge chairs and enjoyed some more coffee. It was super quiet in the lounge as there were only a total of 5 passengers in there. I decided to go check out the bathrooms, and they were the nicest airport bathrooms I've ever seen. Each toilet had its own electronic bidet, and the toilet seat had a motion sensor, so it opened as you approached. It actually scared me at first, as I was not expecting that. I was surprised to see that they even had a dedicated child's toilet stall with a child-sized toilet and a child-sized sink. Finally, it was almost boarding time, so we decided to make our way to the gate. We left the lounge and soon realized we had quite the walk. It took us about 10 minutes to walk to our gate, and when we got there, it already said final call. We had forgotten that security happens at the gate at Changi Airport, so it was crowded and a bit chaotic at the gate, but thankfully they had a separate lane for first class passengers. After security, we had a leisurely walk up to the upper deck of the A380. We were super excited because not only was this our first time flying suites class, it was also our first time ever on an A380. As we approached the cabin door, we were greeted by name and led to our suites. We were in suites 1A and 2A, and since we were traveling together, they left the center partition down to create the famous couples suite. We were so excited we didn't even know what to do with ourselves. The amount of space was unbelievable. The flight attendant came around to offer us a welcome drink and reconfirm our breakfast choices. We could have had a glass of champagne, but unfortunately we don't drink alcohol, so we went with the orange juice.
This is the butter of the potato. You're serving breakfast and you wanted to have the eggs, right? Would you like your eggs scrambled?
The flight attendant saw that we were taking lots of pictures, so she offered to take a photo of the two of us. After she left, we continued to explore our massive suite and all its features. By the door, we had a good-sized closet, which was large enough to stow my suitcase, shoes, and hang up my coat. There was also a mirror in here, along with a pair of slippers and a blanket. The massive recliner chair was super comfy and swiveled between window mode and TV mode. Within the armrest were the seat controls, as well as a remote for the TV. Next to the window were a number of storage compartments. The middle one opened up to reveal a nice lighted mirror. Next was a compartment with a nice noise-canceling B&O headphones. There were also some lighting controls, as well as a universal outlet and HDMI port. Finally, there was a tablet remote from which you can control the entertainment system, but for some reason I wasn't able to figure out how to remove it from the dock. Well. As we prepared for takeoff, I admired just how much space I had around me. So much so that I couldn't even see or talk to Ryan. Also, his suite had an additional TV screen in front of him, so he could comfortably watch the safety video, whereas I only had a view of the back of his seat. If I wanted to watch the safety video, I had to awkwardly turn to watch it on this TV screen to my side. After the safety video, there was also a video explaining different aspects of our suite and how to use them.
Bags and laptop bags can be stored right next to your seat. Key functions within your suite can be controlled from 3 places: the panel on your armrest, the wireless tablet, and from the credenza. Your seat has several preset positions. To ensure you are in one of our preset modes, simply press the icon till the above seat icons appear. You may then further adjust the recline and calf rest for more comfort. The viewing angle and dive into Crisworld using the wireless tablet. Your bed can be adjusted for reading and watching movies from the lever below. Just pull and adjust the recline to your comfort. We have designed several light settings to suit your needs. Select your choice from the credenza, the wireless tablet, or directly from the lights themselves. There are also task lights if you need additional lighting. These can be enabled by pulling them out and pushing them back. Lighting modes and entertainment choices on My Crisworld, so you can access your playlists and resume your movies on your next flight. There's also a spacious table in your suite. To deploy and stow it, our cabin crew will be happy to assist. Thank you for flying with Singapore Airlines. Have a pleasant flight.
Finally, it was time for takeoff. We were excited as it was the first time experiencing takeoff in an A380, and it was incredibly smooth. Once the seatbelt lights were turned off, I made my way to the first-class bathrooms at the front of the cabin by the stairs. A flight attendant directed me towards the bathroom on the right, as he said it was the better of the two. I was wowed as soon as I walked in. It was so spacious and clean. There's a nice vanity in the middle with lighted mirrors. Within the drawers, you'll find all kinds of amenities such as dental and shaving kits. By the sink, there are even cloth towels to dry your hands instead of paper towels. Check out this bathroom. When I headed back to my suite, it was time to prepare for breakfast. The flight attendants came around to set our tables and place our chairs in dining mode. Breakfast started with a fruit platter and some pastries. Even the butter was beautifully presented in the shape of a flower. Next came some peach yogurt, and then finally our mains. Ryan was set on caviar, so he ordered the eggs with caviar, which he thoroughly enjoyed. I, on the other hand, stupidly ordered the pancakes for some reason. They were not very good, and I'm kicking myself over not ordering one of the many Asian options. However, we did hit some turbulence during our meal, and if I had ordered the laksa or curry I had been considering, it could have gotten quite messy. I've got to say, one of the only downsides of having such a spacious suite is that it's not as easy to share food with your companion. After our tables were cleared, it was time to put up my feet and sit back to watch a movie. As comfy as the recliner was, we obviously wanted to test out the famous double bed in the sky. We watched as the flight attendants folded down the beds in the center of the suite and set up the bedding. I could not believe how nice and fluffy the bedding was. They gave us each 2 huge pillows and a super comfy duvet. It felt so much like I was relaxing at home in my own bed. Unfortunately, they didn't give us any pajamas since it was a short flight, but we got as comfy as we could and settled in to watch some movie. Our bed is ready. Got my slippers on. However, I couldn't concentrate on my movie as I was still just too excited about being in the double bed in the sky. I ended up playing around with the window shades and tried to take a quick nap, but then got interrupted by an announcement asking for any doctors on board to come assist the crew. We didn't know what was happening, but noticed the crew kind of rushing around. About 10 minutes later, the captain made another announcement that due to a medical emergency on board, we were going to have to turn back around and head back to Singapore. One of the flight attendants came by to let us know that a passenger had had a heart attack. The way he said it made it sound like he didn't survive, so we felt so awful and sad. We felt the plane turn around, and then about another 10 minutes later, the captain announced that the situation had been stabilized, but that we were still going to land back at Singapore so that the passenger could seek appropriate medical attention. The flight attendants came back and prepared us for landing, but didn't have any information for us about what was going to happen. We weren't sure if we were going to stay on board and just drop off the passenger, or if we would be rebooked on another flight. When we landed, we were told everyone had to disembark and take all our belongings with us. We were the first ones let off the plane, and there was a buggy waiting for us to take us to the lounge. Every single crew member we encountered was so apologetic to us and did everything they could to make us feel taken care of. They ended up whisking us away in the buggy back to the private room. We actually felt a bit silly being the only ones driven across the terminal since we're young and capable of walking, but we just laughed and tried to enjoy the experience. When we arrived back at the private room, the staff apologized again to us for the disruption to our travel plans, but we were actually excited to be back so soon. It was more of a treat than an inconvenience. They invited us to have lunch in the dining room, but having just eaten 2 breakfasts already, we were still pretty full. Our server convinced me to order the satay sampler, which I could not pass up. It was absolutely delicious. I wish I had enough room in my stomach to finish all of it. Ryan went with the chili crab capellini with caviar. No surprise there, as he was trying to take advantage of as much caviar as possible on this flight. After our light lunch and some coffees in the lounge, the staff informed us the plane was ready for reboarding. So once again, they whisked us away in the buggy and drove us back to the gate. Everyone had to undergo security again, so it was quite crowded when we arrived. However, the staff escorted us through the crowds and pushed us to the front of the line. We felt so awkward about this as they pushed us past elderly passengers. I felt so bad cutting in line and felt like people were giving us weird looks like, why are they so special? Why do they get to cut in front of everyone? Anyway, we made it back onto the plane and were thankfully welcomed back to our original suite. It had been completely reset and it was like we got to start the whole experience all over again. This time we had an all-new crew and they were extra friendly. They were really working hard to please us to make up for the flight disruption and delay. They came around to ask us what we wanted to order for lunch. Since all new catering had been brought on board, they apologized that they didn't have a menu for us to look through. Feeling bad about this, they went out of their way to actually bring over one of each dish to physically show us the dishes to help us make our selection. We thought that was so sweet but unnecessary. After takeoff, we began lunch service with a hot towel, followed by some pineapple juice and warm nuts. Our meal then started with some warm bread, a scallop appetizer, and hot and sour soup. Time for another lunch. We weren't sure how we were going to eat anymore, but obviously couldn't say no to more delicious food. I chose the beef option, which ended up being beef rendang, and it was absolutely delicious. This time I was very pleased with my choice, and I'm so glad it made up for the mediocre pancakes I ordered on the last flight. Ryan went with the salmon option, which he enjoyed, but I think his breakfast with caviar was still the preferred option. Finally, the flight attendants came around with dessert, and by this time we were more than stuffed. However, after the first bite, I realized it was a Biscoff mousse with macaroon on top, and wow, it was so good. I love Biscoff, so this was such a perfect treat for me. It was honestly one of the best desserts I've ever had on an airplane. After our meal, we were excited to try out the double bed all over again. The flight attendant set it up for us, and we once again got settled in to watch a movie. Laying in that comfy bed again, I felt incredibly lucky that we were getting to fly Singapore Suites all over again. It was basically like flying it twice for the price of one. Finally, we landed in Hong Kong only 5 hours after we were originally supposed to arrive. All in all, this first class experience was definitely a memorable one that we will never forget. If you are wondering if Suites class is worth the splurge, it definitely is. We highly recommend it. From the first class check-in to the exclusive private room lounge and the amazing service, it is one of the best flying experiences you will have in your life. For a more detailed review, you can check out our full blog post linked in the description box below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos coming soon. In the meantime, check us out on Instagram at Soulmate Adventures, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!